All right. So welcome to class today. I miss you and I hope things are going well and I hope that your spring break was fantastic. Our last unit is of mice and men, and so I wanted to give you some background information. This video will really help you, so please watch the whole thing. I promise it will be worth it. I apologize that it's a boring video of my screen, but I wanted to show you a few things. Don't worry, I am still wearing my Harry Potter robe, and you will get to see that again soon. First, if you have Of Mice and Men in front of you, you know that it's a pretty short novel, and I think it is much easier than Huck Finn, and so look forward to that. I do have right here an online version if you forgot your book at school, or if you can't find it, or just if you prefer it. The whole book is there. Huge thanks to Mr. Skemper who took the time to scan the entire book. He is a hero, so feel free to use that. Your second resource that you have is a totally optional reading guide from Mr. Kuman. You do not have to do it. In fact, I'm not even going to give you extra credit if you do it. If I were you, I would not make a copy of it or write anything. I would just look at it every now and then, and if you can just quickly answer the questions in your head, you are on the right track and you are understanding things well enough. So I would just use that as a way to gauge your own reading and understanding. If you can't answer most of those questions, then I would reach out for help. So that is just a resource for you to help you understand what's going on, so you will be able to do better and also understand the book better. The last thing is right here. There is a link of vocabulary. You are not responsible to learn this vocabulary. However, it will be really helpful to you as we read the book. There are a lot of things in here like a jerkline skinner, which is the lead driver of a team of mules. These terms will come up and it won't explain them in the book, and so you might be like, what is this? Well, good news. You'll be able to figure out from using this website. You can also Google it if you don't know what something is, but like this might be quicker, and I just thought I'd give it to you. Which leads me into my next thing, which is there's a lot of really uncomfortable and really inappropriate language in this book. And so let's talk about why. That's kind of going to be our big question for the week. Why did the author choose to include such foul language? It's not, throughout most of the book, it's not the racist language we've seen in a lot of the other things that we've read. However, there's some really foul, some really crude, some really vulgar language. Even in the first few pages, I think that there are some things that might make us feel uncomfortable. So, one, I want to warn you about that. And two, I want you to tell you that one of our big questions for the week is why is that language in here? It is in there for a reason, for a purpose, and so I want you to kind of have that in the back of your head. Later on in the week, we're going to talk about that, right? Why is the language there? So warning, and also have that in the back of your head as you think and as you read later this week. More things that I would like you to think about are some of the big themes of the book. There are many of them, and one that kind of overarches everything is the idea of friendship. Don't you love this? I couldn't find a person, so this is your friend. He's a cat with socks on. 2 socks though, not 3 socks. I don't know why. And what I'd like you to do is I want you to actually in a second pause this video and go text a friend or FaceTime a friend or go find a parent or a sibling or someone. And I want you to talk about, or by yourself, think about for like 5 minutes, what are the qualities that make a friend a good friend, right? Or what are the qualities of a true friendship? I obviously have no control over this, but I really would like if you stopped and thought about that or asked a friend just really quickly, right? What makes a friend a good friend? So pause the video right now, think about that, talk about that, and then when you're done, here are some of the things that I kind of thought of. I actually asked my family this same question because that's what I was going to ask you to do, and so here's some of the things that my family came up with. They said that a good friend is someone who cares about you, which I think is valid. A good friend is someone who is honest with you when it's hard and when it's easy, right? Honest, I think, in a lot of ways. Yeah. My mom said a good friend is someone who has got your back, someone who isn't afraid to stand up for you or to be in your corner, or to just like be there when you need someone, right? So like presence is a big thing in friendship. A good friend is someone who wants what's best for you, and not only who wants what's best for you, but is willing to help you pursue what is best for you as an individual. A good friend is someone you can be your worst self in front of, and vice versa, right? It's someone that you don't have to have like a mask or a facade or put your best foot forward all the time. You can be obnoxious or annoying or wild or sad or broken or admit the things you're struggling with in front of a good friend, and they can do the same with you, right? I think that's important. However, I think that a good friend, though, is someone that encourages you to be their best, to be your best, right? Someone who you can be your worst self, but they help you be your best self. I think are some important things to friendship. I also think that a good friend knows when to listen versus when to talk, right? When to ask questions, when to keep listening versus when to offer advice or when to share their own things. I think that a good friend is someone that you can simply be with, right? A lot of these I think are like I don't know, quote unquote deeper answers, but I also think that an important part of friendship is someone you can just exist with, someone you can have fun with, someone you can play spike ball with, or play video games with, or go on a walk with, or talk about your feelings with, or watch Netflix and not talk about, you know what I mean? Like, I think that you can just be. Even like a good friend, I think, is someone you can endure like a comfortable silence with. Stuff like that. A good friendship is reciprocal. It is something that benefits and helps and does all of these things for both parties, right? It's not one person always serving another. It's two people having fun, two people having each other's back, two people being honest, or whatever. Friendship can have more than two people. Um, I think that friendships help us feel a sense of belonging, right? Having people who you know want you there. Um, and people you can belong to, like a group or a person you can belong to. I think that friendships can give us hope, can remind us of the goodness in life, can point us towards Jesus in moments when we are struggling, can help us see a way out of a hard time or just even see that there is more than the problem that's in front of us, right? I think that friendships give us hope. And shout out to Mr. Mustard. He kind of coined this one in our freshman winter class this year. He said the antidote to loneliness is vulnerability, right? And so I think that a lot of these things are pointing towards that idea of a good friendship is one where we belong, right? It's a sense of community, but it's not enough to just like be surrounded by people. I think that when we are vulnerable, when we do all of these hard things or easy things, when we do all these things, um, that helps us feel less lonely, right? It helps us belong because we are willing to be vulnerable, to be every side of ourselves with our friends. So I'm gonna take a screenshot of that and throw it somewhere on Moodle because I kind of want to circle back to some of these ideas. But I want you to have these in the back of your head as well as whatever you came up with your family or friends. I would love to hear if you have any like really wise ideas. You guys are wiser than I am, so I always love your thoughts. So keep those in the back of your mind, right? What makes a good friend? And how do we see ourselves in this book? And how do we see some of these themes of friendship um, in the book, in our two main characters, George and Lenny? And how do we not, right? How do they not do that? That's the first thing. The second thing is this is a book about a few migrant workers. George and Lenny travel from town to town, picking up odd jobs at farms, right? They are people who don't have a stable source of income. They don't have a stable community. They don't have stability in their lives. They go from place to place to place, just looking for work, getting hired for like a season or for a half a season or for whatever. And this was a really common thing back then. And so I'm just going to point out really quickly that you do have an assignment to do after I finish this lesson, which I will do shortly here. You're going to do a video or an assignment called the Of Mice and Men intro video. And so we probably don't know a lot about what it means to be a migrant worker, but you are going to find out in this short assignment. You're going to watch a video. It's like 18 minutes long, I think. Is that right? So it's decently long, but it's really, really helpful information. It talks explicitly about the book, but it also talks about the world. Oh, that's an ad. I don't. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. It talks explicitly about the world that the two main characters, George and Lenny, were living in. And so before you start the book, I would love you to do that. Fill out these questions. This does not need to be a reflection or a paragraph. Bullet points are great. Notice that I want you to like actually watch the whole video and jot down examples from the whole video, but you do not need to like write a lot. I just want you to know this because this is not a topic that I know a lot about, honestly, and probably you don't either. So that will help us step into the world of Mice and Men, of George and Lenny, our two main characters. Cool. So the second to last thing that I want to talk about really quickly is there was a poem written by a guy named Robert Burns called To a Mouse. Literally, what happened is this guy was plowing his field one day and he ran over a mouse's house and he saw the mouse scurrying away and he got really sad and he wrote a poem about it. And this is that poem. This is the original version. which I just think is amazing. And I think that for fun, you should try to read it out loud later because we slink it, cowering, timorous beastie. Oh, what a panic's in thy breasty. It's just kind of fun to talk like that. But we will, for the sake of understanding, go with the standard English version, which is here. So stick with me as I go through this poem quickly because it sets the book up well and I think it matters. And there are going to be kind of some foreshadowing here. So this is the poem as he's plowing and he ruins the house, the home of this mouse that he feels so bad for. Small, sleek, cowering, timorous beast, oh, what a panic is in your breast! You need not start away so hasty with the hurrying scamper. I would be loath to run and chase you with a murderous spade. So basically, he says, like, you are so afraid. You are running away from me so quickly. I'm not going to chase you. I'm not going to kill you. I'm sorry that I ruined your home. And he continues, he says, I'm truly sorry that man's dominion has broken nature's social union and justifies that ill opinion which makes you startled at me, your poor earthborn companion and fellow mortal. So he says, I'm really sorry that my plowing, that me being a farmer here, has ruined your life in nature, right? You and nature had a good thing going on, you had a plan, you were going to live here, and no wonder you have an ill opinion, no wonder you ran away from me because I startled you and I ruined your house. And then he makes a connection between them two, right? He says, we are both just poor earthborn companions. We are both simple mortals. And so this is important because he makes a connection between what it means to be a human and what it means to be a mouse whose home is ruined unexpectedly. I doubt not that you may steal. So what, poor beast? You must live. An odd ear from 24 sheaves of corn is a small request. I'll get a blessing with the rest and never miss it. So he says, what you need is so little, right? If you want one ear of corn, I've got 24 sheaves. Like, I'm not sad. Like, if you need something, take it because I want you to be happy and live. And then he feels worse again. He says, your tiny housey too is in ruin, its feeble walls the winds are strewing, and nothing new from which to build a new one of foliage green, and bleak December's winds ensuing from bitterness and keen. So he says, oh no, look, you had built this house, you thought you were going to be safe, and now it is ruined. And there is nothing new for you to build a new one from. So he basically is like, wow, mouse, like, your whole life is ruined. You have no hope. You have no chance from here on out. You saw the fields lay bare and wasted, and weary winter coming fast, and cozy here beneath the blast you thought to dwell, until crash, the cruel plow passed right through your cell. So he's talking kind of about like before, oh, the mouse had noticed that it was winter, right? The fields were bare and wasted, and it was about to be winter, and so you built a house to be cozy, to survive. You thought you were going to be fine. The house had a plan until crash. The plow passed right through and ruined his home and his plan and his hope. That tiny heap of leaves and stubble has cost you many a weary nibble. Now you are turned out for your trouble, without house or home, to endure the winter sleety dribble and frosty cold. So basically, he's like, you're gonna die. You had a plan. You thought you were gonna be okay against winter. Now you're not. You have nothing. And then these last two are the most important, and I think that you will recognize at least a line of it. But, Mousie, you are not alone in proving that foresight may be vain. The best laid schemes of mice and men go oft astray, and leave us nothing but grief and pain instead of promised joy. Still, you are blessed compared with me. Only this moment touches you. But oh, I backward cast my eye on prospects turned to sadness, and though forward I cannot see, I guess and fear. So remember earlier when the author made a connection between the mouse and himself, and he says, just like you, like mouse, you are not alone in proving that foresight, the ability to look into the future, to hope for the future, to plan for the future, may be in vain. The best laid schemes of mice and men, does that sound familiar? Go oft astray. So he's saying, just like mice, men can't plan for the future. Our best laid plans will often go terribly, terribly wrong when something expected and terrible happens, like a plow running over the home of a mouse. He says, oftentimes we make our plans, but then we end with grief and pain instead of the joy that we thought that we were going to have. And then he says, but mouse, you are lucky because you're only sad right now in this moment. But I can look back on the history of men and on the history of my own life, and I can see all the plans that did not pan out, all the grief and pain that has existed in the world, and I can look forward, and although I can't see, I can guess and be afraid of the future. Now I want to stop and say I do not agree with this poet, right? I think that he is writing from a very bleak perspective, right? I think the beautiful thing about like about God is there is hope in every circumstance, right? There is joy in every circumstance. There is trust that there is something bigger than my house is destroyed, right? Or whatever. Like, there's something bigger than us, than our lives, that we get to be a part of. And so I don't agree with everything that he says, but this idea is one that will kind of be integral throughout the book. And so I want you to kind of have this poem as a reference point to say, like, okay, what plans do they have throughout the book, and what's going to happen with those plans, right? What's going to happen with their hope? What's going to happen with their joy, etc., etc. So, although that's kind of a bleak place to start, that's where I want you to start. And so, those are all the teaching things that I want to do to help you kind of get a little bit of context. After you do the video intro, you'll start reading the book on Wednesday. So we're going to go pretty slowly throughout the book. It's not a super challenging read, and a lot of the chapters are very short, which is awesome. But we are going to take it slowly because I want you to actually read it and understand it and think about it. And I also know that online school is boring, and also you have other things to do. And I also want you to have fun and engage with your families and the people that you love, and maybe even go outside sometimes. The last thing is this. At some point, I'm thinking about doing a Zoom call. And so, what I would like from you is to shoot me an email with your very, very, very honest thoughts on doing Zoom as a class. Is that a good idea? Is it a terrible idea? Should we try to do something all together? Should I give a couple time options and you can show up whenever works for you? Should I assign you groups of like 4 or 5 and then your group can decide when you want to meet with me to talk about the book? Think about that. I really am open to all of those options. I think there are huge pros and cons each way. It'd be kind of cool to gather the class, but also I don't know if it's possible. And also I know that timing wise, we all have different schedules. Whatever. So I'm willing to do anything. But one, when you email me, I'll know that you watched this whole video, so good job. And two, I really do want you to be really honest and just tell me, what do you think about Zoom? Is it a good idea? Is it a terrible idea? Would you rather just keep like writing lots of reflections in Google Classroom, or would you rather like gather either as a whole class or in a small group to talk about the book? So, thinking about those things, send me your really honest thoughts. I'm not searching for a right or wrong answer. I honestly want to know what will help most of us learn and process best. So, I like you. Thank you for making it all the way through this video. This is the second time I've done it because the first time I accidentally forgot to hit record. So if you feel bad for yourself, feel bad for me too. I hope everything made sense. I like you and I miss you and I pray for you often. And I'm here if you need anything. Have a great day.